in order to perform analysis on a bolt and nut, that too axisymmetric analysis on a bolt and nut, what I am going to do is I am going to take the static structural analysis system, drag it and drop it on the project schematic, and I need not change the material, as the default material is structural steel, and that is the particular material with which the bolt and nut has been manufactured. So now I am going to geometric cell, and I am going to change the analysis type to from 3D to 2D. Remember, if you are going to perform any analysis in 2D, you need to change this particular option here, and this particular analysis option should be changed before you just import the geometry. Once you have imported the geometry, you will not be able to change this particular option. And here there are other lot of options that are useful to import this particular geometry. So for example, if I am importing a geometry, in that particular geometry there are number of types of bodies, say solid bodies, surface bodies as well as line bodies. Then I can ask this particular software to import only one kind of body. It may be a solid body, it may be a surface body, or it may be a line body, or otherwise I may ask the software to say import every kind of particular available bodies inside the imported geometry. And here there is something known as the parameter keys and attributes. So parameters means in the CAD software which we are designing, if we give the dimensions, we can import those dimensions with names to this particular software. So once I have changed this analysis system type to 2D, then I am going to just right click on the geometry cell, say import geometry, and then browse, and I am going to select the bolt and nut STP, and I am going to press open. And once I have imported the geometry, I am going to double click on the model cell. So right now what I am going to do is, once the Ansys mechanical is going to open, I am going to set up the boundary conditions as well as the mesh, and I will try to solve the particular problem. Now what happens, once the geometry gets loaded into the static structural, I am going to geometry branch, and see here the 2D behavior is by default, as I told you, it will be in plane stress. But if I solve this particular problem in plane stress, it will not yield me good results. So what I need to do is I need to change the behavior from plane stress to axisymmetric. So once I change this to axisymmetric, it is fine now. Now what I need to do is I need to create the connections between the bolt as well as the nut surfaces. So here you see, as I have told you earlier, when you are going to import an assembly, even it may be a 3D assembly or a 2D assembly, our Ansys Workbench is going to create some contacts. See here, it has created some contacts. But what happens in real world, the two surfaces will not be in contact. Only one surface will be in contact. So for example, if the bolt is pre-tensioned, what happens, this bottom surface of this particular bolt will be in contact with the top surface of this particular thread from the nut. So what I need to do is I need to manually select or change the contacts. For that purpose, what I am going to do is, first of all I am going to select the contact edges which are represented in red in color, and these edges are present on this particular bolt body. Here you can see the preview, and from the preview you can tell this surfaces contact bodies are present on this bolt. So what I am going to do is, first of all I am going to right click on this nut body, and then I am going to hide the body so that I have a good view of these threads that are present on the bolt. And now what I am going to do is, instead of selecting all of these things, I am going to go to the contact here, and then I am going to select only this bottom edges. So I am going to select this bottom edge, and by pressing Ctrl I am going to select the other bottom edges, and I need to select about 8 edges like this. So I need to select somewhere around 8 edges. I think it is enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So now I can apply. So once I have pressed apply, see only the bottom edges are selected. Bottom edges of this particular threads present on the bolt are selected. Now what I am going to do is I am just going to right click and say show all bodies. Right now I am going to select this particular bolt body, and then I am going to just hide this particular body. And now what I am going to do is I will go back to the edges, and then I am going to select the top edge of this particular threads on the nut. I'm going to select only the top faces. See here, I'm going to select only top faces, and here also I'm going to select 8 edges, and once I've selected that one, I can say apply, and now I can right click and say show all bodies. So once I have done this thing, I need to change the contact type. As usual, by default the contact type will be bonded. I need to change it to frictional contact because there will be friction between these two, and once you select the frictional contact, you should be providing a friction coefficient value of mu. So I'm going to specify it as a 0.3. So once I have set up the required contacts, the next step is to set up all the required boundary conditions and the loads to solve this particular problem, which we are going to do in the next lecture.